Welcome to the Unbecoming podcast, where you can join me, Stephanie Baranowski, in an authentic, personal perspective of my expat journey and my many travel adventures. Grab a beverage of your choice, set yourself up in a cozy environment, and be prepared to be inspired. Each episode, I open up my personal narrative of what it's like to unbecome everything you once were in order to become everything you were meant to be. Let's dive in, head first, eyes closed, and a strong cup of faith. July 1st, 2022. Ironically, it's Canada Day. And it's the same day that I had my first interview with Lululemon. Now, I had been in London for a month at this point in time, and I had relied so heavily on my friends and my family back at home to bring me comfort along this journey for that first month. And that was great, and I thoroughly appreciated it. I needed it deep down in my soul. But what I also needed was to find comfort and familiarity in this new city. I had walked into a Lululemon store when I was shopping around and exploring, and I started talking with the staff there. And as I was talking with the staff there, they were like, "Oh, you should apply to work for Lululemon." And then it was like light bulbs went off. That's it. I do need to work for Lululemon. I love the culture. I know that the company is all about self-growth and development, and they're innovative and the pioneers of the wellness industry, the corporate wellness industry, with, all their benefits that they have for their employees and the perks for their employees. But not only that, I had already known so much about the company from working the Lululemon Seaweeds event, their marathon that they have. Not only working it, but I've also ran the 10K as well as the half marathon. And I've taught yoga classes for Lululemon back in my home city. And on top of all of that, 90% of my wardrobe is Lululemon, let's be honest. So to me, it just made sense. This is my piece of home here in London. I need to work here. In this Canadian company, finding a little piece of home within London. So I had my first interview on that day of July 1st, and I blew the interviewer away. I don't think they were expecting me to know so much about Lululemon, the history of it, where it came from, the product, the culture of it. They really were surprised by how much I knew, but not only how much I knew, but how passionate I was about the brand. I knew I wanted to work for Lululemon for a long time, part-time, of course, because I had so many other endeavors that I was chasing after. But I just didn't know when I was going to work for Lululemon. But I knew at some point in time in my life I was going to, as it just crosses over so well with so many different things I'm doing in my life, including teaching yoga. So I get the interview, pass the interview, get a second interview, and then a few weeks later, I'm doing my training for Lululemon. This was the best thing that happened for me, to me. I don't think that anything in the last 8 months that I've been here has been so beneficial and so in alignment with who I am, where I'm going, and where I want to be. Originally, when I came to London, I had my school teaching job. I had that lined up way before I even got my visa or applied for my visa. The day that I booked my plane ticket was the day that I emailed the agency. They had scouted me and kind of scouted through the universities a year prior. And so that's how I knew about the agency. And I had multiple meetings with them over the year. They said, yes, we'll get you work. We'll get you a contract so that you can work full time in the school. You'll have a nice job when you land. Great. I was excited. I should have known even before I left for London, something was off. So before I left for London, I had a couple of interviews lined up with some head teachers at some schools here in London so that I could interview for a full-time position for the school. That way I can solidify my job and I don't have to worry about anything. Well, both of those interviews fell through. My representative at my agency was unreliable. She was a young girl. I mean, maybe she was getting used to her role, but not as reliable as I'd like. Not only that, but when I had the interview with these meetings with these agency workers, all they were doing was spewing facts at me and just talking, like they were trying to sell me something. It was very weird because any other interview that I've ever been in my life has always been a two-way conversation. You know, they're asking me questions about myself, getting to know me. I'm responding. I'm asking questions back. It's a two-way conversation. But these meetings, they were very odd. And it was just them like selling the position on me, which I didn't quite understand. Well, I understand now. So when I landed in London, it took about 2 weeks before I actually started getting work in the schools, and they started giving me work, which is great. And then I found this one school, I was there, quite often, and the school needed a full-time teacher for the upcoming year. They signed me a contract with the head teacher, only to be let down. I realized that contracts here in the UK, as far as teachers go, mean nothing. Back home in Canada, you sign a contract, well, you're set for life, especially in Winnipeg. You sign a contract working in the public school system in Canada, you're set for life. You do not have to worry about a thing. Here, that's not the case. Here, you sign a contract, well, apparently, that contract could just be waived so very easily, which it did. I knew at that point in time I could not rely on the agency. I needed to focus on other work and using my work as a school teacher as kind of a backup plan or backup or extra income. That's where Lululemon comes into play. I got consistent hours, so I signed a contract with Lululemon stating I would get this many hours at this pay with this bonus, with these benefits. But not only that, I would get an opportunity to work for a place that was all about health and wellness and growth and development, professional development. That was in alignment with me. Working in these schools that I was going into that I was shocked, blown away by, culture shock was over and beyond in my mind. And then I had this little piece of heaven within Lululemon. And not only was it a piece of heaven working for the company and all the things it had to offer, but the people at Lululemon and the people that they hire are like-minded people who are also very focused on growth and development and wellness, and everybody's very social and inviting. And I thought to myself, this is where I need to be. The schools, I went to school, I went to university for so long. I have 2 university degrees. You think that, well, I have 2 university degrees. Maybe that's my profession. But no, this adventure took me into the land of Lululemon, which I would have never predicted in my life, but it was the best thing that happened to me here in London. So here I am. I'm recording this podcast in January. And it has been almost 8 months that I've been in London, and approximately, I would say about 6 months that I've been working for Lululemon. And it has been an amazing adventure, working on growth and development, having consistency in my life with Lulu, having the perks of the wellness, the corporate wellness, and I don't know if I would have had the same experience and passion for being here in London had I not landed this job. I have developed long-lasting friendships within the company, within my little store, even within other little locations. I walk in, I go buy a pair of leggings, I talk to the staff, and we're all on the same page, right? Because Lululemon hires like-minded people. And we're all on the same page. And I've developed these amazing friendships with these like-minded people. And so I feel like, wow, I stepped into thinking what was going to be like this little piece of home that was going to bring me comfort in this foreign city. But what it ended up unraveling into is this little family and this excitement of growing on my goals and setting new goals and growing on my professional development and just growing in general as a human being, but enjoying it and in waking up feeling passionate about what I do. Some might say that I just sell leggings, but there's so much more to it than that. It's embodying the wellness industry as a whole and creating connection. And I think that's my favorite piece about it. So here I am. I have my job with Lululemon. I have my job part-time in the schools, which I'm really, really glad that I only went down to part-time because I don't think that it was for me to be a full-time teacher here. And then I also teach yoga here. And I've been teaching yoga here in London for a couple months now. So I just got my teaching job. And again, I found myself in this really nice, beautiful community space of other teachers, other yoga teachers, but also like-minded people in the wellness industry. And it's like everything is in alignment here. Everything that I am, that I embody, is all in alignment here with the person I want to be and the places I want to go. Now I'm going to share with you a little tidbit that, I haven't even told anybody yet. I haven't had even the opportunity to tell anybody yet, even at my work at Lululemon. But tonight, just before I recorded this podcast, I actually had a coaching session through Lululemon. And I feel very, very inspired about some next steps that I think I'll be taking in about the next 6 months towards even bigger growth and development. So stay tuned for what's to come. I think my biggest lesson here and my biggest takeaway is follow your journey on what resonates with you and do things that resonate with you and surround yourself with people that resonate with you. And that's when you're going to live your best life. That's when you're going to wake up feeling excited to move through your day, feeling excited to connect with those people that are within your vicinity, within your energy field. And I truly believe that when you let go of things that are not meant for you, such as me letting go of the idea of having a full-time position with the schools, that was not meant to be. I realized the hard way that was not meant to be. So when you release things that are not meant to be, you're creating space for the things that allow you to be your full authentic self and that align with you so that you can be in your true core being. Now that's kind of like some yoga jargon talk, I realize that, but it's true. If you are doing something in your life that you are not 100% happy to do, or you don't feel fulfilled or feel purposeful or feel inspired to grow in, you're only limiting yourself. The moment you let go of the things that are limiting you is the moment you create space to be able to invite the things that are going to fill up your cup, are going to feel it purposeful and inspiring. And in that is when you inspire others outwards. And I know I've said this many times over, and I say it all the time in my yoga classes, is that the energy you cultivate within yourself is the energy that emulates outwards. And that's what people are going to feel. So if you are embodying everything that's within your authentic self, your true nature at your core, that's what people are going to feel. And they're equally going to feel inspired by it as well. And I've had so much feedback recently about how inspiring even these podcasts are for some people, which is fills my heart, fills my soul up. It means that, I'm doing something that's for the greater good, and I'm doing something that comes from my heart and my passion and my creativity, and it's inspiring others along their journey, which is very, very cool. However, there is a flip side to that. Just when you are in your true self, and I've also heard stories about this concept from other people around me, but I've also experienced it myself, is when you are working on your true self, your authentic self, and you start to become a beacon of light, and you start to really embody exactly who you are and surround yourself with people that are like-minded and dive into things that you're interested in that align with you, maybe a job, maybe your hobbies, maybe even just routine, things that make you feel good, that align with who you are. On the flip side of it is that it could also be triggering to people. Now, I have personally experienced this with my own family members. Love them dearly, love them to pieces. But I do know and I do recognize that me living my truest self, being in my true self, living out this dream I have, and accomplishing my goals left, right, and center, has created a little bit of distance between me and some family members. And I did do my research on this. And what the research says is basically it triggers other people to see within themselves their own limiting beliefs, but also their own insecurities. It has nothing to do with me. I realize that now. Upsetting at the time because, they are my family and or my close friends. And, I want to be close to those people. But it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with what they need to work through in their own lives, which is their own insecurities, their own self-limiting beliefs, or not having the opportunity or not going after their own goals and dreams that may be similar to mine or might have, triggered a thought process there. And I get that. So the flip side of it is, you are going to have people that are going to be inspired by you, and that's the goal, that's the aim, but not everything is rainbows and butterflies. And there are going to be some people that feel, ooh, ick. This person living out their dream and their goals doesn't feel good to me right now. And that's okay too. That is okay, because that means that person, you've triggered within them the awareness that they need to dive deeper within themselves to heal themselves. They now have the awareness, okay, something doesn't feel right. I need to distance myself. That's step one. The next steps for that person is to figure out their own healing pattern and to work through those things that are, within themselves, so that they can come back to you and you can grow to have a better relationship with that person. And letting them do it on their own time, that's okay. I've also heard from other friends of mine who are going through self-growth and development, and it's hard. It's really, really hard when you do the hard work on yourself and all of a sudden you feel this divide and you feel this shift and you feel people distance themselves from you. It's almost like you feel a little alone because you're like, well, I thought you were really close to me, but now you're distancing yourself? I don't quite get it. That hurts. That hurts deep inside. And yeah, it's going to hurt. But it has nothing to do with you. You're on your own path. You're living in your true self. And those people are their own main characters of their own lives. And they're going through their own path and living out their true self in whatever way that looks for them. Or maybe they're on the path to living their true self. We don't know. But that's okay. You are the main character in your own story. You are living out exactly what you need to do to be happy and feel fulfilled. And that's an amazing thing to do. It is an absolute amazing, awakened thing to do. So my challenge to you this week coming up is you can journal this. You can just contemplate, sit and contemplate. But think about how you can live your truest self. What are some things that you need to let go of in order for you to create space to live your truest self? And what does that look like to live your true self? To dive deep into your core and live your authentic self? What does that look like to you? What does that feel like to you? Like, really paint a picture of it. Now, on this coaching call that I had a little bit earlier, one of the things we talked about at the very end of it is, what would that goal of yours look like? But not just the goal itself, but how would it also fit in with the rest of your life? And that was an awakened moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's an aha moment, because a lot of the times I'll just focus on just one area of concern, my job or my school or, my hobbies, whatever it is. I just, pinpoint something individually. And she challenged me to think about it. Well, no, you have to include all aspects of your life. Think about it in including all aspects of your life, not just that one area, but, if you're aiming to look towards your career, how does that career that you envision for yourself also match up with what the rest of your life is also going to look like as well? So it got me thinking, okay, well, it's great that you envision what your authentic self looks like in certain roles in your life, but maybe painting a much wider picture than just narrowing it down. So if you were to create a vision board for yourself, or you were to envision in your mind, or if you were to write this out in a journal, whatever your outlet is, what would that vision holistically look like? What would living out your authentic self, your most purposeful self, your inspired self, holistically, what would that look like holistically, and how would it fit with your whole life and all aspects of your whole life? I'm going to leave you with that. I mean, I'm on this journey with you as well. Each week that I set an intention for you and a challenge for you, I'm also working on it myself. So just know that these things are also something I'm working on. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm working on a vision board. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be vision boarding. I'm going to be creating this visual representation of, what I talked about with my coach and really manifesting it. That's really how I accomplish my goals. If I can break it down for you to the most basic level, is I set my goals with the moon cycle. So every new moon, I set new goals for myself, and I envision these things. And I do what's called manifesting. So I just envision them, and I put into practice some action plans to make sure that I accomplish those goals that I set for myself. So every new moon, I set those goals, and every full moon, I release energy or release what no longer serves me so that I can create space, more space for those things that I'm manifesting to come. Now that's, again, yoga jargon. But essentially it's just goal setting, and following through with those goals is how I accomplish it. And really setting a vision for myself, not just thinking about it and dreaming about it, but actually putting those thoughts into action is key. So adding on to my challenge for you, not only do I want you to think and envision what that authentic, holistic life would look like, but what are some action steps, some small action steps, baby action steps, maybe 1, maybe 2, no more than 2. What are some small action steps that you can take to move towards that person or that holistic, authentic life that you would like and you envision? How can you get there? 1 or 2. It's been amazing connecting with you. Love sharing my story every week, every Friday. Feel free to click on the subscribe button so you can get notifications every week on Fridays of new episodes that are coming up. And of course, feedback is always welcome. Feel free to reach out, send a message, thoughts on this podcast. You want to dive deeper into the conversation, totally open to that. Otherwise, having a great rest of your week. and we'll connect next week. All right, take care.